What time's that start?
5.
Okay.
5?
Sarah. Other Sarah. There's no battery pack in here.
They cut me off?
Yeah, I thought I put a new battery
short and
in
sweet.
it. No, we want you to be able to.
Somebody said speed up, oh yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do that Friday to make the box.
It's gonna calculate how much.
Okay, there's one more, and yes, there can have batteries, who else is listed batteries?
Okay, you got 7.
Oh, good, that's all.
Everybody else have batteries?
Not here that long.
I've got one.
I'm good.
We're all in trouble.
But I gave her one.
You have one now?
Yep, we're good.
All right, I'd like to call the City Council meeting on June 3rd to order. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We have one addition on the consent.
One addition on the consent. So do we need to
Just approve the
approve the addition to the consent? All right, we need a motion.
I'll make that a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjust the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. Our part-time officer, chief, taking a different job, I take it, full-time?
Yes, Bryce went to another full-time department he used to be the full-time with the county.
Yeah.
But since he has gone to a different city altogether.
Okay. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This time we'll move into the mayor's comments in open forum. I didn't see anybody written down. Okay. Next item, wastewater regionalization project update. Jared Vogie. Welcome.
Evening, Mayor Council. Update in way of the wastewater, continuing to collaborate with St. Cloud weekly meetings. We hold those on Tuesdays, and continuing to target next week for the restart of the system. So a lot of stuff going on in the background, but that's the plan.
Thank you. That's good news.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a guarantee.
Just show me where the on button is.
Put you on the spot, Jared, I'm sorry.
That's a fair question.
What could possibly hold us back from starting?
So there are a couple questions that came out of the meeting today. Our team will address that tonight or early in the morning, but we're targeting next week. So.
Okay. Keep in touch.
Good, Mark? Good?
I hope.
We're ready? Okay.
That's all I had, unless you had questions for me.
I wanted to make sure we're starting up next week, so that's good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, move on to item number 7 here. Public hearing on liquor license renewals. We will recess the regular city council meeting at 5:34 p.m. to conduct the public hearing on the annual liquor license renewals, which are listed on the agenda. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Hearing none, we will reconvene the regular city council meeting at 5:35 PM. Is there a motion approving the annual liquor license renewals as presented on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I just want to thank all the applicants because we had timely paperwork, backgrounds, all the property taxes, everything was compliant this year, so.
So everybody was on time this
Yes,
time? Awesome.
so I do appreciate that greatly, because,
Excellent.
you know, we're nearing a possible state shutdown too, and we have to get these in,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's very important, so, thank you.
That's great. Yep, thanks to those businesses. Moving on to item number 8, approving tobacco licenses. Is there not a public hearing needed for that?
Nope.
So we entertain a motion to approve tobacco licenses for the, those listed on the agenda.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to item number 9, public hearing. Dave Wiltgen, parking variance and addition. We will recess the regular city council meeting at 5:36 PM to conduct the public hearing on the parking variance request of Dave Wiltgen, Foley Family Restaurant. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Hearing none, we will reconvene the regular city council meeting at 5:36 PM. Looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2025-16 approving site plan and parking variance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I will add that this is an exciting opportunity for a great business in town to be able to expand.
Thank the two of you.
So, excellent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Done yet, Dave?
Moving on to item number 10, public hearing for Monroe Edition preliminary plat. We will recess the regular city council meeting at 5:37 PM to conduct the public hearing on the preliminary plat, the Monroe Edition. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Hearing none, we will reconvene the regular city council meeting at 5:38 PM. Is there a motion approving the preliminary plat of Monroe Edition with the recommended conditions of planning and staff, which is listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Planning commission did look at this with the conditions. We have no issues.
Good.
Everything looks good.
Excellent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a motion approving the final plat of Monroe Edition with recommended conditions?
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, the 2020, no. Do we need to talk about? We don't need to go into the further discussion with the conditions that are listed, correct?
Nope,
Okay.
as long as you're okay with them,
Perfect.
that's,
2025 Northside improvements, lead service line bid results. Considering and approving the low bid for LSL construction work.
yeah, and, Mr. Mayor and Council, if I could just point out, one of the sheets was missing in your packet, the backside, so there's a copy for you that had all of them.
The bids?
Yeah, the bids. It just didn't scan in to
I was gonna
the,
say, I think I got mine.
well, I don't know, it didn't copy or something,
Okay.
so
Yeah, the
just to
tabulation
make sure
bids?
you have them both.
Yep.
The engineer just pointed that out, so I wanted to make sure you had that. Cause we got a few bids, which was good.
Yeah,
So I don't know, I guess if,
Quick, yeah, if I may talk about this now here, the 2025 lead service project, this is in the project limits of our Northside project, but it is a separate project, so it's a separate contractor, separate everything. This project, we had a bid opening on the 28th, last Wednesday, and there were 6 total bidders, ranging anywhere from $294,000 to $580, potentially $84,000. The low bid was Lee Haven Underground out of Kimball. With that, then we recommend that the city awards the lead service project to Lee Haven Underground. I'll be open to answer any questions you may have about the bidding process.
Have you had experience with this company, working with them?
I have not. We did call and talk to the owner. It is a smaller outfit. They were established in 2017. Like I mentioned, they're out of Kimball. They have worked in the area around Kimball, and they've done some water service replacement projects in the city of Webster, South Dakota, the last couple of years, in the hundreds of services. So it's based off my discussions with them, it sounds like they are capable of what they're doing. We won't be starting anything until we make sure we have all of the paperwork and requirements for funding in order before we start. But that's, from what I can tell, they seem like they are a capable contractor. We have been seeing on lead service projects these smaller companies kind of come in now that there's this money available throughout the state. So they are kind of, hasn't been uncommon so far this year seeing these smaller outfits, so.
so then
If
we,
any other questions, and recommend awarding the project to Lee Haven Underground.
and that would be a motion being made? Yep. To consider the low bid? I'd make the motion to approve the low bid for the lead service construction work to the outfit in Kimball.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. The second part of the lead service project is our construction services agreement. This is very similar to the one that we brought to you last month for the Northside street reconstruction project, but this one is solely focused on the lead service replacement project. With the construction cost plus also the engineering costs, all that is covered by those grant dollars at the top footer there. So with that, we're looking for approval of our construction services agreement tonight for the lead service project.
So the payment of $62,000 is essentially covered by the grants awarded?
Correct, yep.
I'd make a motion to approve the lead service construction services agreement with SEH.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jared. Moving on to item 12, 2025 Northside Improvements Financing Plan. Is it Eilertson?
Yes, George Eilertson, Northland Securities. Thank you for the time on the agenda this evening. Here to talk about the financing for the Northside improvements. And we've got 2 agenda items for you this evening. One is municipal advisor agreement, which is basically an overview of our services at Northland Securities relative to the bond sale, and then a resolution calling for a sale. So as you might imagine, City Council, tonight, you're not selling bonds tonight, you're taking a step and calling for the sale to take place next month. So, Mayor, Council, I'll just give you a brief overview of the financing structure itself. Been working closely with Sarah on reviewing options, looking at a 15-year financing term, looking at a 20-year financing term, looking at your existing debt, et cetera. So, so your staff has been good to work with. The bond issue itself, like I indicated, a 20-year financing term. Preliminary size of the bond we've got at $5,155,000. As you know, there's a variety of revenue sources that will be utilized to pay back the bonds. I'll just give you a quick breakdown here. 40% of the project is what's called an improvement portion. That's where you've got primarily your street project work. So that's paid back with a combination of special assessments as well as the tax levy. Water portion, sewer portion, and storm portion as well. Each of those respective portions also has some special assessment tied to it. And then the respective utilities, or the revenues rather, of those utilities to help to pay back the debt as well. So again, 20-year financing term. We've got, Sarah keeps, she's very good at watching interest rates, so I'll say that. And at present, Council, if I would put a one name word to interest rates for 2025 thus far, it would be volatility. And we see that certainly with tariffs, with global economy, et cetera. One positive that I just pointed out to Sarah before the meeting was the most recent interest rate read was down, which is good if we see over the next 30 days interest rates trend lower. So we'll find out when we have the sale, which is July 8th. We take financing bids the morning of July 8th, and then we'll be present that evening to present who bid, and then present or recommend rather the sale or award of that. In the meantime, we'll work with Sarah actually next Monday on the assignment of the city's bond rating. The city has a very strong bond rating, AA- rating with Standard & Poor's. If you're in the AA category, that's considered a very strong credit. So the better the credit rating, it drives the interest rates down. So so Sarah, Monica, et cetera, will work together next Monday on that bond rating. It's about an hour call with two analysts from Standard & Poor's. So look forward to that. And that's a real brief overview. I'll actually tell you one other item about the bond issue itself. It's a 20-year financing term. Presently, the average interest rate is, to be conservative, 4.10, so about a 4.1% average interest rate, blended rate over that 20-year term. The bonds have, even though it's a 20-year structure, which might seem a long time to lock into an interest rate, the bonds would be callable or prepayable or refinanceable, once you reach 2033. So at that point and thereafter, there's still 74% of your principal that remains, and we would work with you on just monitoring the markets at that point. Is there ever an opportunity to refinance at a lower interest rate? So, so that's the quick overview, Council, of the bond issue. Again, in about 30 days, we'll know the final interest rates, but can I address any questions that you may have?
And we're not able to lock in any sooner, or if we feel the rate is at what might be considered the lowest, and worried about it going back up by July 8th? The one thing the city certainly should do is let us go through the rating process, because we have to go through that rating call. It takes approximately another week and a half after that call to get the rating assigned before you can have your rating in hand. And so that's why we kind of have it out into the first meeting in July. So Mayor and Council, I would say that probably best to stay with that date. If we see just the opposite happen, and
interest rates spike higher, you certainly can pull the sale back and say, you know, for the short term, we'll utilize our cash reserves. You passed a resolution early on in your project, which gives you the opportunity to pay for some project expenses with cash reserves and then pay yourselves back later with the issuance of bonds. Let's certainly hope we're not faced with that situation of rising interest rates, but just the opposite, so.
Great.
Does that
Yep,
answer your
it
question?
does.
Mary?
If I,
Okay.
if I could too, Mr. Mayor. Part of the reason we're structuring this way too is to try to, save ourselves some interest. So if we can use some cash at the front end of the project to reimburse ourselves, by structuring it this way, we save ourselves interest in the long term. I don't know if we've always structured the last few projects this way because of that. But I mean, I also wanna point that out too, that we did make the intention, like we didn't issue the bonds how many months ago?
Right.
We're issuing them now, once we know the project has actually started. And that will help us in the long run too with interest costs.
And I could add just a little more color to Sarah's point there. There's something called capitalized interest that we like to try to avoid. It's basically borrowing interest to pay interest.
Yep.
And so, generally speaking, if you wait a little bit, wait until issuance of your bonds in July, you avoid the need for capitalized interest. It's all about when do you receive levy dollars. That's, if there's a period of time where you don't have revenue streams coming in, that's where the legal side wants us to plug in capitalized interest. So this is a good timeline, issuing in July or at a later date, so. Mayor, Council, that's the overview of your financing at this point. Certainly, July 8th, we'll know the final rates, and there'll be another resolution at that time. So, the first item that we have relative to your bond sale is a municipal advisor agreement. For each bond issue that we work with you on, there's an agreement like this where it details what is our role before the bond sale, helping you putting together a marketing document called the official statement, working with you on the bond rating, taking the sale, and then closing the bonds thereafter. So that's the agreement that we just have on your packets. It's your first item to consider relative to the bond sale. And Mayor, if you'd like to go one at a time, and then I can address the other, or and maybe I can just mention the other, I'm sorry. The other item is just the resolution calling for the sale. It's simply stated that it calls for a bond sale to take place on July 8th. So that's the second item for you.
Anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to ask? Mr. Arlington?
Sarah, didn't we, years past, didn't we renegotiate a bond at one time?
Yeah, we do that from time to time. We refund it, you know, and refinance it essentially like you would a mortgage.
Yep.
And George will let us know. We review that all the time.
Yep.
So, yeah, there may be a potential at that call date to do that, and we'll take advantage if needed. Or if the city has cash, you know, there's always times too, we just pay them off, you know, depending on how other financing is going, you know. We sometimes have excess cash from one that we finish paying, and then we put it into this one. There's plenty of options down the road.
Nothing else? I'd entertain.
Mayor, just to follow up on that question,
Oh,
sorry to
okay.
keep rambling here, but the call date or the date when you can prepay or refinance, it's February 1 of 2033, and then any date thereafter. So it's not just that date. It can happen at any point throughout the rest of the bond issue.
I think it depends on how much savings. We usually have to figure that out, just like you would with a mortgage. You know, we calculate depending on the size of issuance and what's gonna cost us, you know. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, sometimes it does.
Right. All right, so I'd entertain a motion then to consider approval of the municipal advisor agreement.
Move. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we'll move right into considering resolution 2025-15.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-15 calling for 2025 Northland bond sale.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 13, the EDA report, the Downtown Facade Grant Program applications and Main Street Grant Program. There was a meeting held prior to council. Is this something that you could speak to?
Yeah, absolutely. We did have two applicants for, well, first we had one applicant for the Main Street grant. EDA is recommending approval to Thorsten Holdings LLC. Where he has a good project. Of course, it's an old bank building. We're excited to see that happen.
Does that eat up the entire grant?
Yes, so their recommendation from ED, we had one applicant and they're recommending awarding the full $37,680 in grant funds
Is all we have is 37,000?
for the Main Street. That's
For the
all
Main
we,
Street? I
yep.
thought we had 60, like 68.
No, you're thinking of a different program.
Okay.
No, this is the one we're working with, Greater St. Cloud
Right.
on, that we're just getting a small portion, so that would, deplete our funds, but that was the only applicant.
That was the only application.
we received, yep. We had other inquiries, but they just didn't submit.
Okay. Okay. So we need to, motion,
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation from the EDA on Thorsten Main Street grant.
I will second that motion. Any, motion's been made and seconded, any further discussion?
Just one thing, in the plan, he plans on fixing the old clock out in the building, so.
Well, while we're discussing, is he doing stuff with the facade as well, or is he applying separately for this facade program?
There's two separate applications here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate. He is putting a significant amount of investment on his own, so he meets the criteria where he could be eligible for both programs.
Okay. But he's only applied for the one so far?
He applied for Main Street, and then the facade will be the next one you address.
He did apply for a facade
Yep.
as well, okay.
And we can award all that, we can stack them.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And so as far as the, recommendation of the downtown facade program, there was two.
We have two.
For that.
And the EDA is recommending that we award, since we only have $7,364 left in the facade program, we're recommending that we award Thorsten Holdings the $5,000, along with Central Minnesota Art Boards for the $2,600 or 2,400, with the contingency that we will have more money to fulfill the 5,000 request.
So in essence, the EDA is recommending approving both, but we recognize that there's not enough funds, so they're leaving it up to the council if you want to award those funds and find them for the time being, or delay a reimbursement later.
I guess the first question would be if we thought we were going to, say, refund that program again for the next year, and if that was the case, then why wouldn't we find the remaining, and just take that much less off of, what we fund for next year?
And it's also, I also want to there is a couple outstanding applications, so we've allocated money, but we haven't necessarily reimbursed them yet. And we have two that I have not heard from in quite some time that were approved.
Okay.
So they have
So
until
the-
2026 to complete, early
Sure.
2026, but we could,
Funds are there, they just haven't been
the funds
spent
are there,
yet.
but they're allocated, but
Sure.
they haven't been spent.
Okay.
That makes, I don't have a concern if you approve the whole thing for the 23, the extra, I
The
think we'll be
extra
fine.
$2,600,
We'll
yeah.
just wanna make sure we address it specifically in the 2026 budget. I think the proposals of both are good,
Right.
improvements.
Further improving
Yeah.
the overall look and feel of downtown, which was the intent and idea behind the program, and it's, I think, paying dividends. So would we need to make a motion to approve the two applications, awarding at the full 5,000 amount for both?
Yep,
Is
and
that
then
simple
just,
enough?
and then just recognizing that we'll make an adjustment in the next, budget cycle.
Sure.
That includes the arts,
Yep.
arts building also?
Yep.
I'll make that a motion that, the present program requesting, be adopted.
I'll second it.
So a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Moving forward, I think when we get to budget talks, it's something that we should look at, funding more. I think we'll get, more people.
Right.
It's a great program.
Good program.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to department reports. Let's hear from, our city attorney, not Ashley.
No, I'm not actually.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you. Had the opportunity to work with several of the council members. I was at the special meeting, 2 weeks ago, maybe
Yeah.
it was. But I'm Admiral Plat, community. I do not have any updates for you this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have one on wastewater. I'll be sitting with them as far as them being able to shut us off.
We have we will need to wait and see where we're at on Tuesday. I mean, that is the long and short of it. You know, we have a binding contract in place that allows for the city to discharge waste. Obviously, the city of St. Cloud has some ability to put parameters on that. And so if we're unable to kind of resolve things at the administrative level, there's additional options you have at your disposal.
And going forward, if they were to ask us to shut off and we refused, that would be okay?
They have, my understanding, mechanical means to shut that pipe off. It would be a dispute. I mean, it would escalate, I suppose. Hopefully we can continue to have communications, and so there's the ability to off-ramp anything before it got to that point, but you do have a binding contract that gives the city of Foley meaningful rights under it, and you're paying for those rights.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Chief Katie McMillan.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll first start with our stat report for the month of May. We had 473 calls of service. Just comparing it to 2024, we had 412. Going through it, suspicious activity is up. A lot of the seniors did their lovely senior pranks, so that is a factor in that part. City ordinance enforcement is the main big drive or increase. A lot of tall grass was, this council did not approve no mow May, so that's what, since they didn't, but I waited until towards the end of the month to start enforcing it when the dandelions gone to seed, so they weren't helping the bees anything. So I waited intentionally until towards the end of the month. A lot of people still need to mow their lawn. We have unregistered vehicles in yards, and we have just miscellaneous junk a lot, or items, I should say. Some people don't view it as junk. So we have a lot of things. A lot of people need to look at their properties. Please help us out and clean up their property. I want to also point out in our record system, as you can see, a warrant arrest is in there. There's 6. Also includes attempts. There's no warrant attempt section. It's just warrant arrest is all it's labeled. So don't think that there's 6 people out there with warrants. It's just if we attempted somebody twice, it counts it as 2 separate times. So And then special events, a lot of kids going, we had to help a lot of kids cross the school the whole last week. A lot came to the library, a lot went to the parks, so we were busy trying to keep track of where everyone was. And also in the miscellaneous field, that is up, I had 25 data requests alone last month, so that's in there too. So that is very high compared to other months. Just to point out, as we all know, Foley Fun Days is coming up. I've been working on the scheduling, making sure that officers are where they need to be for the 5K. And also the bike rodeo is Saturday, June 14th from 10 until 1 at Lions Park. It's for kids 10 and under, free event. I lost track of how many bicycles I have. So I know a few people are still gonna bring forward some bikes. And so once I have all those, they'll be here shortly. And yeah, it's gonna be a great event. I have 80 pre-registered, 81. So.
Awesome.
But
That's good.
It's a good program.
yes, and a lot of the meals are donated by the Locker and the Colburns, and so great community support for the event. So it's our 11th year.
Do you need more helpers?
Yes, if you can help, greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I let you know, I can't be there this year. It'll be the first time in several years. I don't know if we'll have other council, that's obviously you, it sounds like, can be
Yeah.
present to help, we've been historically doing the bike names, right? And that, so, great, good, thanks for that.
Katie, I see there's quite an increase in speed violations.
Yep,
Most of that, out of that on 23?
it's everywhere.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, because we do have TZD hours as speed enforcement for the 100 deadly days.
Okay.
So that's why that's increased.
Fine too.
Yeah.
Anything else?
New squad.
Yes, it is here. You just haven't seen it too much because the school resource officer was the one who was driving it. I finally, took me 2 days, but the computers are all up and running, and now they gotta go in them, and they're all ready to go.
The other two are,
Yeah, they're there.
okay.
The 21 Tahoe, we've had an oil change, new tires, last week, Friday, new battery, just a minor, so, yes, right.
Perfect. Thank you, for the update. We'll move on to City Engineer Jared Griffith.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight, just got a quick update on the 2025 street project. Essentially, we started construction on the 27th with some test pits for boring operations underneath the highway. That's kind of phase one. That boring operation is gonna last the next 3 weeks to complete that work. But jumping back, we did have a pre-con meeting with the contractor and all of us with the city staff on May 14th. Then last week, May 28th, we had our neighborhood informational pre-construction meeting. I thought it was very well attended. At that meeting, we discussed project scope, project schedule, and then the private sanitary sewer work a little bit, and then also the city bond that was kind of up for consideration tonight. Schedule-wise, we're looking at, like I mentioned, phase one started last week with test bore pits. Phase two will be 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue, Murphy, and Parent Street, the reconstruction of those. Those are tentatively scheduled to start the week of June 2nd. Phase 3 will be Broadway. That's tentatively scheduled to start the end of July. Phase 4 will be the alleys, and then 13th on the east side of town there. And that's not going to be till roughly beginning of September. Those two are pretty quick burns as far as the alley and overlay over on 13th. So we should be able to have everything substantially completed by our date of in mid-October, and then coming back next spring for our final paving.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can go into a little more detail on phase 1 and 2 the next month or so. I want to talk that, but otherwise that's kind of really what we got going on for the street project.
Yeah, it's construction.
Yeah.
Do you have, so are you on site during most of what's happening through the construction phases, or what does it look like with regards to you and what you do with this project?
Yep, so for me, I'm the project manager, so I'm going to be on site at least once a week for our project meetings, probably more. But we do have our project representative on site that's here every day, full time. It's gonna be here with all the contracts or all the construction work going on. That person's gonna be the residents' kind of go-to person, the kind of in between for the city and the contractor and the residents. That's gonna be their responsibility. My role, like I said, would be project management, so I will be periodically coming on site, making sure everything is up to code, meeting city standards, and then kind of coordinating with the city on our end, making sure that payments are being made, quantities are being checked, making sure everything is done according to our plans and specs. If there's anything major that comes up, as far as during construction, that's when I kind of get pulled in for those communications. Most of that will get brought up and hopefully determined / eliminated during our progress meetings once a week. But if things come up with more hot press items that can't wait till, our meetings are Friday morning, by the way. If can't wait till Friday, then I'm more willing to come on site and meet with the contractor and work through anything we need to. So.
Okay.
What time are your meetings Friday morning?
9 a.m.
And name of the person on site?
Taylor Rothfork.
You mentioned that he's the kind of the go-to in between, we'll say contractors, residents and such. Do the residents know that that's who they would reach out to? Or
In the first newsletter, that name wasn't given because we had a internal quote-unquote retirement that who was lined up for Foley. So we had to wait till I knew who that was to provide that contact information. The next newsletter will have that. His contact information was given at the meeting last week.
Okay.
He was present for that, so hopefully he's been walking around for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Hopefully he's had some communications with residents as he's been walking around and asking what's going on. So he's putting a name to the face. He's a local. He's from Foley.
Yeah.
Graduated high school, lives in Foley. So, yeah.
You mentioned the newsletter. Is the newsletter mailed?
Yes. Well, the first one was mailed. The second one will be mailed, and them moving forward will either be email or put on the website.
So we had, I remember a couple comments from the mail, and I know we don't control the postmaster and the rules around PO boxes and such, but if we're getting any more return mail or return newsletters, do we have a system in place besides just trying to mail them back out? I mean, is there, can Taylor personally deliver the letters and make sure that our folks are getting informed? And
so, yeah, actually, great point. This morning, Taylor and I were actually walking the site. Now, there was a handful of ones that on the the private service side that didn't get the letter that was sent out. I think there was 3 of them, and so we tried our best to communicate with those people today on site. Most of them we got. The other 2 that we didn't get, we made sure that we put them in the mailbox so that kid get it, essentially. So hopefully that is an issue, and then moving forward, especially this next round of newsletters, we have the most up-to-date list, and so we're hopefully we're good to go on that standpoint. But yeah, so moving forward, they're all going to be electronic if they provide their emails, and then there'll be the online version on the website. Okay. So everyone should have access and shouldn't be worried about missing a mail.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Jared. Public Works Fire, Mark Pappas.
Nothing exciting on our end unless you got questions.
So speaking of high weeds, who do we contact through the state to manage 23? Or who manages 23? I'm assuming not us.
Where?
At the corner of Norman, going west, right next to like where the interesting buildings or Shack City builds there, along that strip.
If it's MnDOT right away, legally it's MnDOT. Yeah, I don't think no one's gonna, that's a crick, so I doubt anyone's gonna.
It's a fight every year with them over the highway part. They say they won't because there's state laws that prohibit it during certain months, and it's a fight every year.
because of nesting, you can't do it now, so that's why we do what we can, and.
Okay.
When it gets dry, we go and mow all that, but.
Sure.
It's too wet this year.
Alright, just something I noticed. Alright.
Alright, thank you.
So everything's good, great. Well, Public Works, the pool's filled.
Yep.
Everything's working, operational, chlorine's good, all the things.
Big side's good, we don't find out till tomorrow morning on the baby pool.
Okay.
That's how tight of a schedule we run,
Okay.
so, down there.
Alright,
So, at least we'll have a big pool tomorrow, we know, I mean, I don't see any reason the baby pool won't be, but
okay, great.
it's just something I didn't hold up to.
Alright, well, thanks for having that ready for the summer. Alright, Sarah, moving on to administration.
Just a couple things. I put the letter in your packet. Midco, needs to renew the franchise. The more I'm looking into it, it might just be cable, but, I just wanna make you aware that I'll start the discussions. Is there anything specific you want me, to bring up?
Yes.
It's an old
I have all
agreement.
sorts of questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that, there was a franchise agreement, with Midco. What happens if we don't renew?
We don't get any portions of payments. We get payments from them.
So that's what the franchise agreement is?
That's the biggest benefit. I mean, what else would really be the?
The only other,
I mean, people still get cable and internet then, regardless?
there, the only other real issues is administration of right-of-way permits.
Yeah.
That gets covered under their franchise instead of them coming in for every little thing. It's already part of their franchise.
That's a good
Which
point.
could actually be a good thing for the city in terms of having to administer that repetitively.
Sure.
That's the only other.
I am aware that there's some concerns with their internet reliability. I've heard that many, many times, so I can
Right.
certainly bring, that up. I don't know if that's gonna be applicable or not to this, but, yeah, I get it. The cable TV payments and stuff, they have slowed down because obviously less people have cable.
Sure. So it really doesn't affect them whether or not we renew the franchise agreement?
They're gonna want to, just for the administration of when they have to do work. But you would obviously, you'll see any final agreement we have, but I just wanna
Right.
know if there's anything specifically, you wanted me to bring up or
And
chat with them.
it doesn't prohibit, other carriers coming in?
No.
Okay.
We can, nope, I asked Adam that earlier today, and we could do it, we can still let other people in, which competition is good.
Yeah.
That's kinda how we view it.
So do you need us to just be thinking about this, and next month we'll have the actual franchise agreement?
Oh, if you have it next month, that'd be a miracle, but
Oh, okay,
the list is long, so we will get started on it,
sure.
so.
So nothing we need to act on now?
Nope, but if you think of something that you want me to check into, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, then the other thing I have is I just wanted to run by you, we are working with BEP on, a business, MIF application and revolving loan. What I wanted to just, check with you on the council, so I am, just in the sake of time and to try to streamline processes, Amanda and I are coordinating like one application for revolving loan, both on the county side and our local funds. So I just wanna make sure you're okay with us doing that. We may use an attorney on their side for little things outside of our city attorney. We'll still run them through the packet, all the approvals and stuff, but we'll use their committee. But we're trying to do this just to make some of the administration a little easier on our end. Otherwise, it's very time consuming and, it's just more money, more time. So I just wanna make sure you're okay with that. If we work closely with BEP, coordinate with them to, help us or assist us with these processes. Because what's happening is sometimes there's multiple pots of money, state, county, city, that go into these projects. You will obviously see all final approvals, cause you have to act on the resolutions and authorize some of these projects and these business subsidies, but I just wanted to double check that there's no concerns with that. Amanda's always worked very well with us, and she saves us a lot of time and aggravation, I guess, on my end, cause she's much more, savvy when it comes to those programs. So are there any concerns with that?
Streamlining is good.
I have none.
it's a benefit to the city, it's good for me.
Yeah, and she really does, she wants to do what's best for the city, that's what she's here for, too, so. Okay, I don't have anything else unless you have anything for me. We have enough going on, so.
Just in, from a, maybe it's old business, but speaking of franchise agreements, and I know Ashley's not here, but where are we with the other electrical franchise?
East Central, you approved East Central,
We
that's
did,
done,
that's
yep.
where, like, that's all signed and
Yep.
good, though?
Yep,
Okay, they're
we're all
okay with
done,
it?
yep,
Okay.
they accepted it, and then, fees will be coming in shortly, here, we'll
Okay,
start,
good.
yep. Nope, Excel signed off on East Central, we are all settled.
Good, okay. All right, old business, update on August 30th community event at Holdridge Park. Looks like we have Renee here to share some items with us here. Take a few minutes and let us know what's going on.
Do I have to say my name and all that again? Is that official? Okay. I don't know. I'm Renee Kachuk. If you need my address, I can tell you later. But I guess to just update, I was just reserving the space for Holdridge Park, and I was kind of talking with some other people and just wanting to verify the use of the whole park facility, and just kind of gave an attachment with the map and all that kind of stuff, because as a city-wide, hopefully community event, I would hate to have a bunch of people show up and we can only fit them on the pavilion space or the immediate surrounding. And so with the entertainment and different vendors and people already wanting to come in, that's where I just wanted to kind of clarify the space that we're able to use, if we can use the whole park. Otherwise, I'll have to start kind of cutting back on some of the vendors and people that are already wanting to participate. Because right now, even Mr. Jim's is looking at hosting a bike show for the day of the event as well during the same time frame. And then I do have a couple motorcycle association groups that would like to help maybe host a fundraiser bike run the morning of the event, and just kind of pulling in a lot of other volunteers and different entities that would help make sure we have our safety and security on site. I would have to look at, Mr. Jim's would be bringing in 2 porta potties. They said they would help with that, and then take care of the prizes for their type of event. But with the dotted lines there, I would definitely have signage and checkpoints at the welcome tent, because we don't want alcohol in the park, just for safety reasons, because it is a family event. So any of the alcohol and stuff would be on Mr. Jim's property, to kind of help promote their sales and stuff too. At both that entrance, but then on the actual city or the park side too, we'll have different, like a tent over there for welcoming, because we also want to encourage the community to bring in non-perishable food items, so we'll have drop sites for that kind of stuff. We'll have directional maps and things, just so, or signs. But the food vendors, ideally we'll keep them on the walking path pavement side, so we're not damaging the grass. And then any of the art vendors or things like that would be in that tree line, so they had, shade and things like that if they don't have their tents. But overall, we'll be very mindful of just maintaining the park and making sure we're not damaging anything, and just being, just respectful of our spaces, and just encouraging more people to come together. We haven't heard back from the Quality of Task Force or whatever yet, but I'm hoping they'll come or reach out. But Lions, I was kind of putting it on hold right now, because she's like, yes, we'll go ahead and, just let me know how big the event can be, and then they'll help with volunteers and maybe bringing in food on their side. And I have leads on some pretty good entertainers too from her. But we have a lot of interest so far, but that's where I'm just kind of coming here today, just to kind of verify. I know I'll probably need support with the garbage side for like Park and Rec, like brainstorming how we can make sure we keep the park clean, extra garbage cans around the, park for that day. I'm gonna encourage people to bring blankets or lawn chairs and things like that to be able to, watch the entertainment or be a part of things that way. So, as far as insurance for the event itself, I've been talking with the insurance shop. As a nonprofit, I don't have insurance on my own nonprofit yet, but we're talking about the differences, if I should just do that. Or otherwise, it's only $285 for me to insure this type of event for that as well. But any of the performers or entertainers and vendors will have their own insurance as well, and I'll just get copies of their insurance as I'm registering people to make sure they're legit, cause we wanna make sure we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's and following the rules on our side, so. But then I didn't know if with safety and security, since we'll have people that, I know can pass background checks and will help make sure the park is safe, I didn't know if we should have law enforcement or how that would look, cause then I was gonna see if pals could come and help play games or sports with some of the kids or whatever too, so I was gonna reach out yet, but depending again on the size and the space that we can use, so.
Okay, so do we have concerns about using the whole park?
Well, and I did forward this to, Mark and Katie, just because the couple of things that I mentioned in my email, and, I guess I'll have to defer to them if, that's why I asked Renee to come back
Yeah,
too, just to
just
make sure we were all
clarifying.
clear what the request was and
Sure.
work through these items, because we usually, when we book the park, it's only the pavilion, the park remains open to the public, so it's a smaller, this is a much larger scale event, so,
Right.
I guess.
In
yeah.
my mind, I was expecting it to be a big event.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
surprised,
like, that's
but
why I came.
I'm not surprised to
first
see
day.
that it's larger than the pavilion.
Yeah. But at least this way you guys have more of a visual too, I guess, of the
Okay.
expectations or what we're hoping for. It's just a matter of, we've had two planning meetings and we have a lot of things in between, so I just wanted to make sure the scale before I keep moving forward.
I mean, I'll defer to you, Public Works and Police, is there something that anything we can ask of Renee that she makes sure she does, or that she, plans or lines up in order for us to, I think she mentioned garbage as a good example, I suppose, of trying to partner and making sure that we have things covered?
Yeah. I haven't looked at it close, to be honest, yet, so.
Okay.
In the next month, try to.
I did have a question, I guess, for that fire side of things and safety, cause, I did have a volunteer or some people throwing out there, it's a Inspire performance. They have a lot of different types of performers, but they also do have fire dancers, and I'm like, I'm not sure how much I am okay with that, but, they do carry their own insurance, but they have other performers like stilt walkers and jugglers and things like that, so I said, we'll kind of talk that through, but being with that insurance, and that is a risk in the park, so I'm like, my safety hat goes on even with that type of performance that day, so we'll see, I guess, on your guys' thoughts on that as well.
Do we have anything to worry about from a liability standpoint, as long as the insurances are in
like,
place?
We won't get crazy.
Having some sort of, commercial liability policy is essential. For certain things, some of this stuff probably would fall under the recreational immunity stuff, so if you're out there, participating in, public activity, there is protections under state law so that, if somebody hurts themselves, their ability to sue is limited. But if you're talking about, some kind of fire dancer or something like that, who might, cause damage to property, that's where that liability insurance is essential. Generally speaking, the league's guidance on something like this is having a $1 million policy. The city has a tort liability limit of 1.5 million. Claims don't generally rise above 100,000. And commercial liability insurance is sold in generally $1 million increments. So I don't know if your quote was for $1 million policy, but that's pretty standard, typical level of insurance for some kind of event like this.
Yeah, okay, well, is it, any other comments or feedback?
I'm just, are you gonna have security at the stage area, so?
Yes,
you said your
that tent
alcohol-
over there along that tree line to the, this way, left of the
Yeah.
stage, that's a safety and security tent, so we will have people that are able to handle situations. And so, as far as like if there's anybody who's intoxicated or just, escalating or having issues, we'll have people that are first aid CPR certified. But then we do also have people, like within our church, for Grace United, we do a lot of safety and security and just de-escalation skills and things like that. But we can utilize law enforcement if gets to a point where we're like, yeah, we're tapping out.
So alcohol will not be brought into that area.
Nope, we would have no alcohol past that point, like as you're funneling down those dotted lines, that's gonna be
Yep.
kind of like the weather fencing, and then our welcome tent, that will be another checkpoint where we will make sure nothing's brought past that spot as far as drugs and alcohol and all the things, 'cause I specialize in recovery, so I'm like, we'll train our team well, just to make sure that we're keeping it a family environment there, and if people are getting a little funny, we'll help give them resources in the resource tent. So,
Well, you know how things can happen.
it
so.
can escalate quickly with community events, so I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, keep sending updates maybe to Sarah that she can relay to council. You know, it's a big undertaking, so kudos to you and that, committee. You know, my advice would be to, don't try to go too big, too fast.
Right.
Try to really focus on a few really great things, that, people can remember, and if it's successful, you know, maybe it's something that
This is just the first time,
happens,
so.
happens next year and you can add
Yeah.
from there, so.
For sure.
I have no problems with using the whole park. Katie might.
One
I
thing you
just,
can,
for the welcome tent, or is there any concerns, cause you have the storage units, and I can just see people parking over in them, and so we have to watch those that, I mean, is there a reason why you have the parking tent, or the welcome tent all the way over there
Because
instead
we're
of
gonna be able
flip-flop
to
'em?
utilize parking in Mr. Jim's parking lot
Mm-hmm.
during the event too, and then just, I guess I didn't, in my visual, I thought there's fencing
I
there.
was gonna say, there's fencing there.
So that would kinda help keep them off of that property there, but I would have to go visualize and
Yep.
look.
All the way to the east it's open though. And so, I just was thinking maybe move the welcome tent over where the stage is and move the stage where the welcome tent is.
We could do that. I just was kind of also trying to take in consideration, I'm assuming the ground will be dry and all the things, so, we were kinda maybe looking at, but yeah, we could place the stage that side and just kind of, however, make it more
Because if you come
secure
into
so
the,
people don't
Yeah.
park over there.
cause if you come into the entrance of the storage units and go straight, that goes right into the park, and that's right where that corner.
Well, we'll have
Oh, yeah.
generators and things like that for our
Okay.
musicians, so that we don't have to worry about that, because they also know it was a strain on Mr. Jim's equipment when they had an outdoor concert, so I don't wanna cause a fire there.
Okay.
And I will schedule an officer no matter what with the size.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion on housing proposal and the next steps. You got the list of next steps, didn't you? Are you talking about the one with the south side? Or am I on a different topic?
On, just looking for some direction to staff. I remember I had to leave that meeting
Yep.
early, but, what kind of follow-up do you want us, so we got some references.
Yep.
We have a lot of questions. What specifically would you like staff to work on? I guess we're trying to just gauge where is everybody at with this? We
I
had a
guess
lot of information that day,
The
and it
next
was.
steps, the next steps were, one was getting references, referrals that, you
Yep.
know, that could be called upon and understand how it was working with them and what they do. The other step was, having a second meeting with bank, to go over a very, I'll say more thoroughly, the financing and exactly how it works.
Okay.
And what happens in the process. I think that was from there.
Would you like us to do any more research on the actual nonprofits, the companies and the individuals behind, you know?
Well, I mean, it appears as though they work with some pretty big cities and some pretty big projects. I think if we were able to feel good about I'll say the referrals or the references that they sent over, you know, especially ones that maybe, you know, took place 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, whatever
So-
it might be.
Phone calls you're comfortable with, or do you want, I mean, you know, these are all not local.
Right.
They're out of state.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to think a city Illinois and operates like a city in Minnesota. I mean, with regards to whether or not working with a organization or a company.
Okay,
how it
so you
felt.
want, so you want staff to make a bunch of phone calls, do some checking into this, set up a meeting with them to come in person or virtual?
I'd be fine virtual as far as banking goes,
Okay.
and understanding the financing structure and exactly what happens and how it works.
Well, I think that's gonna be, talking to BEP, I think that's gonna be out there a little bit. There's a lot of information that she's still trying to find, to gather, I guess, as far as how their
It's taking
financing's
some
gonna
time to
go.
try to track all this information down. I'm be perfectly honest.
Okay.
And there are some questions. We have some questions. I don't know if you have anything you wanna add, Adam, that we talked about, just.
Well, I think, you know, the financing part structurally is not too much different than, the conduit bonding I think we would expect. It seems to just be done at a national level. I think the big question, and I know the council talked about this, was scope, the
Right.
scale. It seems incredibly aggressive. And so they talked about that housing study. They
Yeah.
suggested that only had a 4-week turnaround, which seems pretty fast, but, you know, that seems like, a point to, really drill down on before you invest a lot of time and energy. You know, they talked about 100 units kind of being the floor of something they could do, and, you know, quite frankly, I think that seems aggressive in Foley, and so I think understanding that information, is probably gonna influence your kind of decision on how to proceed, pretty significantly.
Right.
I would elaborate too, I would encourage you to do some checking too, on your own.
Well, yeah,
You
you
know.
sent us the references.
Yep. We will do some checking, but I really encourage you to, you know, there's a lot of moving pieces too with this.
I mean, if
Proposal.
I guess it'd just be, I mean, if Amanda, who's seen and done a lot throughout the country, if she hasn't heard or ever seen this kind of financing, that to me is a red flag. How come? How come no one's heard of this kind of financing? And so that hence, you're getting the bank involved and having a follow-up and asking those questions and really kind of digging in, maybe some references, you know, but more importantly, you know, we're not being charged anything, and if they wanted to do, we'll call it a, you know, pseudo house study, right, in 4 weeks to even determine viability or feasibility for what they can do, like they said, if it's under 100 units, it's not something they would even entertain.
Right.
And so that might be almost one of the first things we want them to do.
Is the market study?
Is
Yeah.
do a market study. I understand you put a proposal in, and, right, I'm sure they probably put in dozens of proposals, you know, throughout the year, hoping, right, one sticks or something happens with it, but, I mean, if it doesn't cost us anything, and there's nothing that we need to do, and they wanna come do a housing study to determine whether or not it's feasible, great. I don't know why we wouldn't engage that option.
So ask for them to do the market study, and then when we get that market study, then we set up the meeting for the financial as well. Are we gonna,
Yeah, I think they need to figure out whether or not it's a feasible project.
Yeah.
If it's less than 100 units and it's nothing that would work for them, you know, maybe we wait for that before we do anything else.
Yeah. Does anybody else want them to come here? I wanna see their faces. Yes.
They mentioned for the market study that
Yeah.
they would fly in.
Yeah. Cause I do think that would also help if they came in person.
Well, I'd like to know what the minimum would be. I mean, they said possibly 100. What is the exact minimum they would start with?
Okay, so I will ask them for the market study, and then we will do some checking on their background and see if we can't find more information on, you know, these partners or the nonprofit, more detail on that. And then, we will, when we get that market study, we'll set up a financial. Does that seem like a fair game plan?
Yeah, if they
Okay.
have a.
In person, right? The financial would be in person?
I would like to see that.
Well, it sounds like they would come in person for the housing study.
The market
Yeah.
study? Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, maybe we should wait till they have that to,
Yeah.
okay, that helps me.
Yeah, I mean, whenever they happen to be coming in person, we might as well set up a meeting at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Joanne?
I mean, as far as office time and spending calling references, I mean, call a couple of the cities that they say they worked in and inquire about who they are, how it was, is it real?
Well, sometimes I think it's important they give you references, but I think it's important to call around that too and do some extra checking.
And I guess one question that was brought up, you know, how are these projects now, say 10 years down the line?
Calling them older
Yeah.
references.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not references, I intend on calling properties. They were some pretty flashy, high buck sales. And that always makes me go,
Call
They
it,
didn't do their due diligence, that's for sure.
Yeah, they probably put in dozens of proposals a year and
Sent us a package.
one or two sticks, you know, yeah. I mean, it's yeah, that's venture capitalism.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll let them do the investment. We'll let them invest time and energy and resources, and we'll keep going from there with them. Good. New business.
What are you guys doing for Foley Fun Days? Besides jumping in the pool, or well, that's for the pool.
Well, tomorrow.
But, Foley Fun Days is 2 weeks away.
I'm running a 5K,
Yay!
very loosely running.
I mean, it's 125 years, what are we as the council going to do?
I don't know.
Do you wanna walk in the parade? We could walk in the parade and shake hands.
You know, that's not a bad idea,
I'm willing to do it.
not in costume, thank you.
You don't wanna walk
Not
with
if
me in a
it's
pickle?
90 plus 100% humidity, that's the old out there, but I think that's a good idea. Our faces don't get out there enough.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I'm usually at Foley Fun Days the entire time for multiple reasons. So we could probably figure something out.
Well, Gary, you'll be with the color guard.
I'm with American Legion.
Yep.
And our group is getting smaller every year.
Okay. You know, we have tomorrow's community engagement event. Thanks to those, you know, Stephanie, Sarah, for helping line up a lot of the elements for that. It is the Big Splash event, second annual. That sounds like it'll be more than just you and I this year, so that's good. And I think, you know, reminding the folks that we have this event coming tomorrow. It is the opening of the pool. It is, you know, having some fun with it. But most of us council members will be there tomorrow. Is there anyone that's not attending? I know you're not all jumping, but are you able to be down there to engage with the community?
I'll be there.
Oh,
For me.
yeah, good. So everyone's invited to come and join us. You know, during that time frame, you don't need to, you know, be there at any certain point. but certainly bring, questions, concerns, comments, ideas, as I mentioned. You know, you have an opportunity to meet with the council, in a different light and, engage as a community and do something fun, which is, good. So, hope to see many folks there. I don't even know what to expect. But we'll see.
It'll be fun. Also, thank you, Katie, for reaching out to Coburn's for us.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have, the, box for 2,100 letters.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll have that done this week, so we can put that in the, either City Hall or the, library, one of the two.
Okay.
And I have to ask Sarah, will you have the thing that's gonna go on the business on your website, not just Facebook, that we could put something up? Churches are willing to put it in their bulletins, and we have the Coburn's bulletin board.
Mhm.
The nursing home is willing, and I'm gonna be working there with people for writing.
You're talking for the letters to
Yes.
21? Yes, we can come up with the flyer, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Just going back to the pool, vent, Public Works has got a couple things, they're gonna do some cones and tables, like 9 tables, I think we're thinking. And then Katie has got kind of the handle on the donations from Colburn's, and then Stephanie's got the
I've got hot dogs.
hot dogs. I think we have everything covered, but I just wanna thank everybody, cause
Do we
everybody's
need
helping
like
with it.
water or anything else?
That's all handled.
We got it all taken
Yep.
care of, okay, good.
Yeah,
Snacks,
between
things.
Mark, Katie, Stephanie,
Okay,
and then advertising with Sarah, yeah, I think staff got it all handled now. So.
okay. You'll bring,
I've got a speaker and a microphone. Toby
Okay.
rigged it so we can listen to music and talk over it.
great,
He's got a 360-degree camera that we can jump off the diving board with. And he'll get us some footage.
great.
So, will we have an MC this
Me and
year like
Brandon
we-
are gonna Brandon and I are gonna co-host.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll MC it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar to what we did last year.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Great, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Do we have anything, so I remember last year, we kind of